The city of Vera was unlike any other place. Tall towers stretched toward the sky, made of iron and copper pipes. Steam hissed from vents along the streets, and gears turned slowly on the sides of buildings. At the same time, wide stone halls and grand arches decorated with carvings of angels and flowers filled the city with old beauty. Chandeliers glowed with soft golden light, and polished floors shone like mirrors. In this city, two styles lived side by side, machines of steam and iron beside grand halls of music and art. Some called it the steampunk side, others called it the baroque side. For most people, it was simply home. A boy named Arun lived in the quieter part of Vera. His father worked as a clockmaker, and his mother kept a small garden behind their house. Arun spent much of his time running errands for his father, carrying tools or polishing the glass faces of clocks. But what Arun loved most was wandering. He liked to walk through streets no one else noticed. He would explore alleys filled with hissing pipes or step carefully into courtyards where musicians played old songs under carved balconies. His heart always wanted adventure, even if he did not yet know what kind of adventure waited for him. One evening, when the sun was sinking and the sky glowed orange, Arun walked past the old clock tower at the center of the city. It was a huge tower, built of dark stone with massive gears hidden inside. Some people said the tower was older than the city itself. Others whispered that no one truly knew who had built it. Arun often paused at the base of the tower, listening to the slow turning of gears inside. But on this evening, something caught his eye. At the side of the tower where a shadow fell, a small iron door stood half open. He had never noticed it before. The door was narrow and rust covered its edges. Curious, Arun stepped closer. Steam leaked softly from the crack, and behind it he could see a faint light. His heart beat faster. He looked around, but no one was nearby. The market had already closed, and the square was empty. He pulled the door open and slipped inside. The air was warm and smelled of oil. A narrow passage stretched forward, lined with pipes that clanked and hissed. Tiny gears turned slowly in the walls as if they were alive. Arun followed the passage, his hands brushing against the warm pipes. The deeper he went, the more the sound of music floated through the air. It was not the music of the streets outside, but something softer, richer, like the sound of a violin played in a grand hall. Arun frowned. How could there be music inside an old tower full of gears? After several turns, the passage opened into a wide chamber. Arun gasped. Before him lay a hall unlike anything he had seen. Golden walls curved high above, painted with clouds and stars. Long curtains of deep red silk hung from the sides. A marble floor stretched under his feet, glowing faintly as if lit from within. And yet, mixed into this beauty were machines. Strange brass devices stood between marble pillars, their gears moving without sound. Steam curled upward, but instead of staining the air, it blended like mist into the painted ceiling. It was as if two worlds had joined in one place. Arun stepped slowly into the hall. The music grew clearer now, and he saw a grand instrument at the far end. It looked like both an organ and a machine. Pipes of silver rose high while gears spun at the base. No one sat at the keys, yet the music played by itself. Arun's heart raced. Was this a dream? Or had he truly found a secret world? As he moved forward, he noticed a mirror standing near the wall. It was tall and framed with gold. He glanced into it and jumped back. For in the mirror he did not see himself. He saw another boy, slightly older, dressed in a fine coat, standing in a hall filled with people in bright clothes. The boy looked back at him with wide eyes as if he too was shocked. Arun raised his hand. The boy in the mirror did the same. Their movements matched, but Arun felt sure this was not just his reflection. It was someone else in another place. Suddenly the mirror shimmered and the image faded into mist. Arun's hand dropped. His breathing was quick now. What was happening here? He turned back toward the strange organ machine. Its keys began to glow faintly. The music grew louder, filling the hall. Arun covered his ears, but the sound was not painful. It was beautiful and strange, like a dream trying to speak. Then he heard a voice. "You found the passage?" it said softly. Arun spun around. A girl stood near the red curtains. She wore a simple dress, yet her eyes shone as if they held tiny stars. Her hair was tied back, and around her neck hung a small gear on a chain. "Who are you?" Arun asked, trying to steady his voice. The girl smiled faintly. "My name is Mira. I have been waiting for someone to come through the door." Arun blinked. "Waiting for me?" Not only for you, Mira said. For anyone brave enough to enter. But you are the first in many years. Aaron looked around again. What is this place? Mira stepped closer, her feet making no sound on the glowing floor. It is the place between worlds. Here the dream and the real meet. Here, music becomes machine, and machine becomes music. Aaron tried to understand, but the words felt heavy. He shook his head. Why would such a place be hidden inside the tower? Mira glanced toward the organ machine. Because it must be kept safe. If too many people find it, the balance may break. The worlds might fall into each other, and then... She paused, and then nothing will remain the same. Aaron swallowed hard. He wanted to ask more, but the air around them shifted. The red curtains moved, though there was no wind. The golden walls shimmered as if they were only a painting. The music stopped all at once. A deep sound echoed through the chamber like the grinding of an enormous gear. Mira's face grew pale. They are waking, she whispered. Who? Arun asked quickly. The shadows that guard the passage, Mira said. We must go, or they will not let you leave. She grabbed his hand and pulled him toward a side door Aaron had not seen before. As they ran, the floor beneath them trembled, and dark shapes began to form along the walls. They looked like tall figures made of smoke and iron, their eyes glowing faintly red. Aaron's legs moved faster than ever before. He had no time to think. The chamber behind him filled with the sound of grinding metal and whispering voices. Mira pushed open the side door, and they rushed through a narrow corridor. The door slammed shut and the noises faded. Breathing hard, Aaron leaned against the wall. What were those? Guardians, Mira said softly. They are not evil, but they do not like change. They try to keep anyone from crossing too far. Aaron nodded slowly, though his chest still burned from running. He looked at Mira. Her face was calm now, though her eyes were watchful. You should not have found this place, she said. But now that you have, there is no turning back. The passage has chosen you. Aaron stared at her. Chosen me? For what? Mira did not answer right away. Instead, she opened another door leading into darkness. Come, she said gently. You will see. Aaron hesitated only a moment. His heart still beat fast, but his curiosity burned stronger. He stepped forward into the dark, following Mira. And behind them, deep in the chamber they had left, the sound of gears turning grew louder, as if the tower itself had begun to wake. Arun followed Mira into the dark corridor. The door closed behind them, and the sound of the guardians faded like a dream. For a moment, the only sound was their footsteps. Aaron's eyes struggled to see, but soon small lights appeared along the walls. They were tiny orbs that glowed faintly, floating as if alive. Don't be afraid, Mira said softly. These lights will guide us. Aaron nodded, though his heart still raced. He wanted to ask 100 questions, but he kept silent for a while, listening to the quiet hum of hidden gears somewhere beyond the walls. After a long walk, the corridor opened into another space. Aaron blinked in surprise. It was a garden, yet unlike any garden he had ever seen. Flowers glowed with gentle light, their petals made of glass and crystal. Trees with silver bark rose high, their leaves shaped like shining coins. Streams of clear water flowed, but their surface rippled as if alive with colors. Aaron stared in wonder. This can't be real. Mira looked at him calmly. It is real and dream both. Here the two are never apart. What you see is born from memory, from imagination, and from the hidden power of the tower. Aaron touched the trunk of one tree. It was cool, yet he could hear a faint ticking inside like a clock's heart. He pulled his hand away. Why is this place hidden? Because people fear what they do not understand, Mira said. If the world of machines and the world of beauty meet too strongly, people may lose themselves. Long ago, a great king tried to bring the two worlds together. He built this tower to hold the balance. But when he vanished, the guardians sealed the passage. Since then, few have entered. Aaron frowned. And you? How did you come here? Mira lowered her eyes. I was born here, Aaron blinked in shock. Born here? Inside the tower? Yes, Mira said quietly. My family once served the king. When he disappeared, they remained to guard the passage. I have never walked the streets, you know, but I see glimpses of your world in the mirrors. Aaron remembered the boy he had seen in the golden mirror earlier. Then that boy I saw? Mira nodded. Yes, the mirrors show both sides. Sometimes if the balance is weak, the two worlds can even touch through them. Aaron's thoughts spun. He tried to picture a life lived only in this strange place. Don't you ever want to see the outside? Mira looked at the glowing flowers. For a moment she was silent. Then she said, "Every day." Her voice carried both longing and sadness. Aaron felt something stir inside him. He had always thought his city was small and ordinary, but for Mira, even its narrow streets and smoky markets would be wonders. Before he could speak, the air in the garden shifted. The silver leaves shivered, though no wind blew. Mira's face grew tense. "They know we are here," she said. "The guardians watch always." Aaron looked around quickly but saw nothing. "What do they want?" "To keep you out," Mira answered. "You are not meant to cross. But now that you have, the tower itself has chosen you. That is why they cannot simply drive you away." Aaron swallowed. "Chosen me for what?" Mira turned and began walking deeper into the garden. "Come, I will show you." They walked along a glowing stream. Strange fish swam beneath the surface, their scales shining like jewels. The path twisted until they reached a small stone bridge. At the center of the bridge stood a round platform with carvings of suns and moons. Mira stepped onto the platform and placed her hand on one of the carvings. The stone began to glow. Slowly, a tall column rose from the middle of the platform. At its top rested a sphere made of glass and brass. Gears inside the sphere turned slowly, glowing with faint blue light. "This is the heart of the passage," Mira said. "It is the core that links both worlds. It keeps them apart but also allows them to touch. Without it, the dream and the real would crash into each other and both would be broken." Aaron stared at the glowing sphere. It looked fragile yet powerful. "And what does this have to do with me?" "The heart does not move for just anyone," Mira said. "But when you entered the passage, it stirred. That means it accepts you. You are tied to it now." Aaron shook his head. "I don't understand. I'm just a clockmaker's son. I clean glass, polish brass, and carry tools. I'm no one special." Mira looked at him gently. "Sometimes those who seem small are chosen for the greatest tasks. The tower does not look with eyes as people do. It feels the truth inside you." Aaron felt his chest tighten. He wanted to deny it, but deep inside, a spark of excitement grew. He had always wished for adventure, for something beyond the streets he knew. Now it seemed he had found it, or perhaps it had found him. Before he could answer, the sphere glowed brighter. The carvings beneath their feet shone like fire. The garden around them began to tremble. "What's happening?" Aaron shouted. Mira's face grew pale. "The heart is warning us. Something is disturbing the balance." Suddenly the glowing stream darkened, and the silver trees bent as if pushed by unseen hands. A shadow spread across the garden. From the edges, dark figures began to rise, the guardians. Their tall forms twisted like smoke, but their eyes burned with red light. "They are stronger here," Mira whispered. "Run!" But Aaron did not move. His eyes were fixed on the heart. The shadows were not attacking it, they were circling it as if trying to cage it. The gears inside the sphere slowed and the blue light dimmed. "If they stop it, what happens?" Arun asked quickly. "The passage will break," Mira said. "The two worlds will collide." Aaron's breath caught. He looked at the slowing gears. His father had always told him, "Every machine has a rhythm. Find it, and you can make it live again." Aaron's hands itched with the memory of turning wrenches and polishing gears. Without thinking, he stepped forward. "I can fix it," Mira grabbed his arm. "No, it is not like your father's clocks. If you touch it without knowing, it could destroy you." Aaron looked at her, then back at the sphere. "If I don't try, it will destroy everything anyway." The guardians closed in. Their shadows stretched across the platform, reaching toward the heart. Aaron shook free of Mira's grip and placed his hands on the sphere. It was warm, alive, as if it breathed. He closed his eyes and listened, not with his ears, but with the part of him that loved the rhythm of machines. At first, there was only chaos. The gears turned unevenly, grinding against each other. But slowly Aaron found a beat, faint but steady, hidden beneath the noise. He moved his hands as if guiding the rhythm. The gears responded, spinning faster, smoother. The blue light returned, glowing brighter. The guardians let out low roars. Their forms shook and they drew back, unable to touch the heart now. Aaron opened his eyes. The sphere glowed strong again, the carvings shining like stars. He gasped for breath, his arms trembling. Mira stared at him with wide eyes. You did it." Aaron stepped back, nearly falling to his knees. "I just listened. Like my father taught me." Mira's face softened. She helped him stand. "Then the tower was right. It chose you for a reason. The shadows faded slowly into mist, leaving the garden calm once more. The glowing stream brightened again and the silver trees rose straight. Aaron wiped sweat from his face. His body was tired, but inside a fire burned. He had done something impossible, yet it felt strangely natural. Mira looked at him with respect. There is much you still do not know. The balance grows weaker each year. If you truly can guide the heart, then you may be the only hope to keep both worlds alive. Aaron's eyes widened. The weight of her words pressed on him. Yet so did the thrill of purpose. For the first time in his life, he was not just a boy polishing clocks. He was part of something greater. He looked at Mira and nodded. Then teach me. Show me what I must do. Mira smiled faintly. I will, but remember, Aaron, once you begin this path, there is no turning back. Aaron straightened his shoulders. His heart beat strong. I already stepped through the door. I won't turn back now. The garden shimmered softly around them. Somewhere deep in the tower, a gear turned, echoing like a drumbeat. The adventure had only begun. The next day in the passage, Aaron woke to the sound of faint bells. He had not meant to sleep, but after touching the heart of the passage, his body had grown weak. Mira had led him to a quiet chamber, where a soft bed of woven leaves and cloth had been waiting. The bells now echoed like distant chimes, and the glowing walls filled with morning light, though no sun could be seen. Aaron sat up slowly. His arm still felt heavy, but his mind was clear. He remembered the moment when the heart almost stopped, the shadows closing in, and the way his hands had guided the gears back into rhythm. It felt both frightening and wonderful. Mira entered the room carrying a small tray. On it were cups of clear water and pieces of fruit that glowed faintly in the dim light. You should eat, she said kindly. The heart takes strength when you touch it. You must learn how to give without losing too much. Aaron accepted the cup and drank. The water tasted fresh, like it came from mountain springs. He looked at Mira. What do you mean by losing too much? She sat across from him. Every person has energy inside, like the rhythm of a clock. When you touch the heart, you gave some of that rhythm to it. If you're not careful, it may take more than you can give. Aaron frowned. So I could die? Mira's eyes softened. Yes, but I believe you can learn to control it. The tower would not have chosen you otherwise. Aaron looked at the glowing fruit and thought of his family far outside the tower. His father winding clocks, his mother tending the small garden. Did they know he was missing? Would they worry? He wanted to return. Yet something deep inside him told him he could not leave so soon. The balance of both worlds now rested partly on him. Mira seemed to read his thoughts. You will see your world again. But first you must understand why the balance is breaking. She stood and motioned for him to follow. Together they walked through another corridor. This one shaped like a spiral. Small gears turned in the walls and soft light followed their steps. At last they reached a tall balcony. Aaron gasped when he looked out. Before him stretched a view unlike anything he had imagined. The passage opened into two sides. One filled with the shining marble halls of the baroque world with glowing chandeliers and painted ceilings. The other filled with the towers and smoke of the steampunk world, gears and pipes covering endless streets. Between them, a wide crack cut through the land like a wound. Strange light shone from the crack, and pieces of both worlds crumbled slowly toward it. The heart keeps this crack sealed, Mira explained, but the seal is weakening. If it breaks completely, the two worlds will fall into each other. Aaron's breath caught. Why is it breaking? Mira's face grew grave. Because someone is trying to force the two worlds together. They believe one perfect world will rise from the pieces, but they do not see that both may be destroyed instead. Aaron turned to her quickly. Who would want that? She lowered her voice. The forgotten king's shadow. Long ago he vanished into the dream, but his will remains. Some say he was betrayed. Others say he lost himself in his own vision. Whatever the truth, his shadow seeks to finish what he began, joining dream and reality into one. Aaron looked back at the crack. Steam and golden light swirled within it, twisting together, breaking apart again. He felt both awe and fear. Can it be stopped? He asked. Mira nodded slowly. Yes, but only if the heart grows stronger. And for that it needs a guide. You, Aaron. His hands tightened at his sides. He wanted to say he was not ready, that he was only a boy from the streets. But the memory of touching the heart and hearing its rhythm returned. Deep inside, he knew Mira spoke the truth. They left the balcony and walked back into the passage. As they moved, Aaron noticed the walls flickering. For an instant, he saw not the glowing stone but the wooden beams of his own city house. He blinked and it was gone. Mira frowned. The crack is spreading faster. The two worlds are already bleeding into each other. Aaron swallowed hard. What happens if it reaches the city? People will see things that are not theirs. Streets may turn into halls. Machines may walk where they should not. The line between dream and real will vanish, and minds may lose themselves. The thought chilled Aaron. He pictured his father's small shop turning into a hall of endless mirrors, or his mother's garden filling with gears that crushed her flowers. As if in answer to his fear, the floor beneath them trembled. A low sound echoed through the corridor, like a bell struck deep underground. Mira grabbed Aaron's arm. "They are here again," she whispered. Dark shapes slid from the corners of the corridor. The Guardians. Their tall bodies of smoke and iron eyes glowed brighter this time. Aaron's chest tightened. He had faced them before, but this time they felt stronger, angrier. "Why are they after me?" he asked. "Because you touched the heart," Mira said, pulling him forward. "They fear change, and you bring it." They ran through the twisting corridor. The Guardians followed, their steps silent but fast. Aaron felt the air grow heavy behind him like chains pulling. At last they reached a chamber filled with tall windows. Through the glass, Aaron saw both worlds again, the marble halls and the steaming towers. But now the crack stretched wider, its light reaching toward the chamber itself. One of the windows shattered, though no stone touched it. From the crack, tendrils of light and smoke slipped inside, curling like fingers. The Guardians stopped chasing. They stood at the edges as if waiting. Mira's face grew pale. "The two sides are pulling us in." Aaron looked around. "What do we do?" "Hold the passage together," Mira said firmly. "Like you did with the heart. You must listen again." Aaron stared at the swirling crack. His hands trembled. Could he really do this? But when he closed his eyes, he heard it again, the faint rhythm beneath the chaos. It was like the ticking of a clock hidden deep within. He stretched his arms forward, not touching the crack but reaching toward its beat. He breathed slowly, trying to match its rhythm. At first, the chaos pulled stronger, threatening to tear him apart. But as he steadied his breath, the rhythm grew clearer. Slowly, the tendrils pulled back. The broken window mended itself, glass forming once more. The chamber stopped shaking. When Aaron opened his eyes, sweat dripped down his face, but the crack outside had shrunk slightly. The light still glowed, but not as wildly as before. Mira's eyes shone with relief. "You are learning." Aaron nearly collapsed. His legs wobbled, and Mira caught him before he fell. "You cannot do it alone," she said softly. "The balance is too heavy for one person. We must find the other pieces of the king's secret. Only then can the heart stay strong." Aaron looked at her, his chest heaving. "Other pieces?" "Yes," Mira said. "The king hid 3 keys before he vanished. One in the halls, one in the towers, and one deep inside the tower itself. With them, the heart can be fully awakened. Without them, your strength will not be enough." Aaron nodded slowly. His fear remained, but his resolve grew stronger. If finding these keys was the only way to protect both worlds, then he had to try. He straightened and looked back at the crack, still glowing in the distance. "Then we find the keys." Mira's eyes softened. "And you truly accept this path?" Aaron gave a tired but firm smile. "I already chose it when I stepped through that first door." The Guardians, watching from the shadows, faded into mist, as if accepting his words for now. But the chamber remained filled with heavy silence, the silence of a battle not yet won. And far beyond the crack, in a place neither dream nor reality, a faint voice whispered, low and ancient. "The boy has touched the heart," it said. "Then let the game begin." The passage had grown quieter since the events of the crack. Aaron walked beside Mira, still trembling from the effort of holding the heart together. The chamber they had rested in now seemed calm, but the boy could feel that the danger had not passed. "We must find the keys," Mira said. "The first one lies within the baroque halls where art and music hold the memory of the king." Aaron nodded. "How will we know where to look?" "The keys are hidden where the king's presence lingers strongest." "You will feel it," Mira explained. "The heart will guide you if you listen carefully." Aaron frowned. "I thought the heart stayed in the tower." "It does," Mira said. "But it reaches into the world through light, through sound, and through rhythm. You can feel the pull if you are attuned." They stepped out of the chamber and into a long corridor lined with tall arches. The corridor opened onto a balcony, from which both worlds were visible again. The crack had shrunk, but faint light still spilled from it. The marble halls glimmered, the steampunk towers smoked, and the line between them wavered slightly. "Follow me," Mira said, and they began to descend a wide staircase. As they walked, Aaron noticed small paintings along the walls. Each depicted a scene of the old city, the king or strange machines intertwined with music. One in particular drew his attention, a painting of a hall where golden light reflected off polished floors, and a strange brass organ rose high at the far end. Aaron's chest tightened as if he had been there before. "That is where the key is," Mira said quietly. "But we must be careful. The guardians may follow us and shadows may hide along the walls." Aaron swallowed. He had faced the guardians before, but each encounter was different, each more frightening. He tried to calm his mind and listen to the faint pulse of the heart within him. It beat like a hidden drum, calling him forward. The hall and the painting began to grow larger as they walked. Soon they were no longer looking at an image, but standing before a doorway leading into the same hall. Marble floors stretched endlessly. Chandeliers glowed softly and tall pillars lined the walls. And at the far end, just as in the painting, rose a brass organ unlike any Aaron had ever seen. Mira turned to him. "This is it. The key lies within the music of the organ. You must play it correctly to unlock it." Aaron's hands trembled. "I don't know how to play such an instrument." "You do not need to know the notes," Mira said. "You only need to feel the rhythm as you did with the heart." Aaron stepped forward, approaching the organ. Its keys shimmered faintly. He placed his hands on them and closed his eyes. Slowly, he felt a pulse, soft at first, then growing stronger. It was the music of the hall, the heartbeat of the king's memory. He moved his fingers, not thinking, but listening. Notes rang out, clear and bright. At first some faltered, but Aaron felt the rhythm beneath, steady and strong. He matched it with his own pulse, guiding the organ like a conductor guiding an orchestra. The hall seemed to respond. Light reflected from the floors and shadows withdrew. Suddenly a small compartment opened at the base of the organ. Inside lay a golden key shaped like a sun with delicate gears in the center. Aaron gasped and carefully lifted it. The first key was his. Mira smiled. "Well done, Aaron. The heart will grow stronger with it. But the path is not over. We must now find the second key hidden in the steampunk towers." Aaron looked toward the distance. The towers stretched high into the clouds, their tops hidden by smoke and steam. Pipes hissed, gears turned, and steam vents glowed with orange light. It seemed impossible to climb them, yet Mira led the way confidently. As they approached the first tower, Arun noticed how different it felt from the baroque halls. The air was heavier, thick with smoke and oil. The stairs spiraled tightly, and each step seemed to vibrate with the energy of the machines. "The second key lies at the top," Mira said. "It is guarded by both the guardians and the machinery itself. You must be careful not to disturb the wrong gear." Aaron nodded, gripping the railing tightly. The climb was exhausting. Gears whirred around them. Pistons hissed, and the smell of burning oil filled the air. Shadows moved along the walls, but the guardians stayed mostly at a distance. Aaron's mind focused on the pulse of the heart again, guiding him step by step. At last they reached the top. The tower opened into a large room filled with brass machinery. Steam rose from pipes and massive cogs rotated slowly. In the center was a pedestal, holding a second key shaped like a moon with tiny rotating gears. Aaron approached, but a shadow moved across the room. One of the guardians emerged, taller and darker than before, its glowing red eyes fixed on Aaron. Mira stepped forward. "We must not fight it. Focus on the key, not the fear." Aaron closed his eyes and reached toward the key. He felt the pulse of the heart and the rhythm of the tower's machines. Slowly, he lifted the key and the guardian paused, then faded into mist. Mira exhaled softly. 2 keys now. Only one remains, hidden deep inside the tower itself. Aaron nodded. He was tired, but determination burned inside him. He had faced shadows and chaos, yet he had succeeded. He could not turn back now. Mira led him down into the lower levels of the tower. Here the air was cooler, darker, and the walls seemed alive with faint light. Strange symbols and gears were etched into the stone, glowing softly. Aaron realized that the tower itself was alive, watching and guiding them. "The final key is hidden in the oldest part of the tower," Mira said. "Few have ever been here. It is protected by both the passage and the tower's memory. You must listen carefully." They entered a narrow spiral staircase that led downward. The steps were worn and smooth, as if hundreds of feet had traveled here over centuries. Shadows clung to the walls, but Aaron felt the pulse of the heart growing stronger with each step. At last, they reached a heavy iron door. Gears turned along its edges and brass locks clicked as if testing their presence. Mira placed her hand on the door. This is it. Only someone chosen by the heart can open it. Aaron stepped forward and placed his hands alongside hers. Together they felt the rhythm of the tower, the heartbeat of the passage, and the pulse of the heart itself. Slowly the locks clicked open. The door swung inward, revealing a small chamber bathed in soft blue light. Inside, on a pedestal of polished brass, rested the third key. It was shaped like a star, with tiny gears that rotated on their own. Aaron approached it, heart pounding. As he lifted the key, the room shook lightly and the blue light brightened, filling the chamber. The heart will be complete, Mira said softly. But the greatest challenge comes next. The crack between the worlds is still active. We must return and place the keys within the heart before the balance fails entirely. Aaron nodded. He held the 3 keys tightly. The weight of responsibility pressed on him, yet so did a sense of power and purpose. He had faced shadows, played the music of the king's memory, climbed towers filled with steam, and now held the pieces needed to protect both worlds. As they retraced their steps back to the chamber where the heart waited, Aaron felt the pulse of the keys syncing with the rhythm inside him. He realized that he and the heart were connected now, not just as guide and machine, but as partners. Together, they could restore the balance. Outside, the crack still glowed faintly in the distance, and the guardians lingered at the edges of shadow. But Aaron felt no fear. He was ready. Mira glanced at him with a proud smile. Tomorrow we will place the keys. Then the heart will awaken fully and the worlds may be safe, if nothing interrupts us before then. Aaron nodded, looking out at both the baroque halls and the steampunk towers. The city seemed more alive than ever, the line between dream and reality thinner and brighter. He felt a strange excitement, a mixture of fear and wonder. This was not just adventure. This was destiny. And deep inside the tower, the gears of the heart turned, waiting for the final moment when Aaron would place the keys and decide the fate of both worlds. The chamber of the heart was quiet, yet it pulsed with energy. Aaron held the 3 keys tightly, sun, moon, and star. Each key vibrated softly in his hands as if alive. Mira stood beside him, her eyes bright with determination and hope. The crack is widening, Mira said. If we do not place the keys soon, the 2 worlds may collapse into each other. Aaron nodded. He took a deep breath and stepped forward toward the glowing sphere. The heart of the passage shimmered with pale blue light, gears spinning slowly, waiting for the final touch. He placed the first key, the sun, into a slot near the base. Immediately, golden light spread across the chamber, warm and steady. The pulse of the heart grew stronger. The crack outside seemed to shrink, but it still glowed, restless. Next, he placed the moon key, silver light intertwined with the golden glow, weaving patterns in the air. The pulse of the heart grew faster, more steady. Aaron felt a rhythm inside him, matching the heart, matching the worlds. Finally, he lifted the star key. Its tiny gears spun gently. As he placed it into the final slot, the heart shone brighter than ever before. The pulse became a steady, strong beat, filling the entire tower, the gardens, and the lands outside. Aaron felt warmth, light, and sound rushing through him, connecting him to everything he had seen. The crack between the worlds shivered, then began to close. Light, steam, marble, and smoke twisted together and pulled back. The baroque halls regained their calm beauty, and the steampunk towers resumed their steady rhythm. Mira placed her hand on Arun's shoulder. You did it, she whispered. The heart is complete. The worlds are safe for now. Aaron felt exhausted but exhilarated. He could sense the pulse inside the heart and in himself. He realized that the 2 worlds had not just survived, they had been strengthened by his touch, his choice, and his courage. Suddenly, a soft wind blew through the chamber. Aaron looked toward the entrance and saw shadows moving. The guardians had returned, but this time they bowed slightly as if acknowledging him. They respect you now, Mira said. You have proven yourself. Aaron smiled faintly. I did what I had to, but what about the king's shadow? You said it still wanted to join the worlds? Mira shook her head. The king's shadow only survives through imbalance. Now that the heart is complete, he cannot force the worlds together. He may appear again, but for now the balance holds. Outside, the sky above Vera glowed with soft colors. The baroque halls reflected sunlight, while the steampunk towers released gentle steam into the air. The city seemed alive in a new way, both beautiful and strong. Aaron realized that people walking in the streets would never notice the danger that had been averted, yet he and Mira knew how close it had come. He turned to Mira. "Will the worlds ever meet like that again?" She smiled softly. "Perhaps, but it will be on the terms of the heart, and of those who respect the balance. That is why the passage exists, to guide, not destroy." Aaron nodded, feeling both relief and pride. He had stepped into a hidden world, faced shadows, guided the heart, and found the keys that could save both sides. He had done more than he thought possible. Mira led him to a balcony overlooking the garden again. The silver trees swayed lightly and the stream shimmered with colors that seemed to move like music. Aaron stepped forward, feeling the pulse of the heart still within him. "Come back," Mira said. "You can visit, but the balance must remain protected. The passage cannot be open to everyone." Aaron looked down at the garden, then out at the city beyond. "I will come back," he promised. "I will help keep the world safe." For a moment he felt the calm that comes after a storm. The adventure that had begun with curiosity had ended in purpose. He had grown stronger, braver, and wiser. And though he still longed for the streets of his own city, he knew that he belonged in this passage too, as a guardian of both dream and reality. Mira watched him, eyes soft with admiration. "You are ready, Aaron, ready to guide the heart whenever it calls." He turned to her, smiling. "I think I understand now. This is bigger than me, bigger than either world, but together we can protect it." The heart pulsed once more, a steady, calm rhythm. Aaron reached out and placed his hand on it. The light flowed into him, connecting the world of steam and the world of beauty. He felt both the marble halls and the iron towers in his mind, each breathing alive and balanced. Outside the tower, the crack disappeared completely. The city of Vera looked the same, yet something had changed. Machines hummed in quiet harmony with music from the halls, and people walked unaware of the worlds that had almost collided. The city was safe, strong, and ready for whatever came next. Aaron stepped back from the heart, feeling a sense of accomplishment that warmed his chest. Mira placed the 3 keys in a small box beside it, safe and glowing faintly. "Now," she said, "we wait and watch. But the choice you made, Aaron, has given both worlds a future." He nodded, looking out the windows one last time. For the first time, he understood what it meant to be part of something greater. To protect not just a city, not just a garden, but the line between dreams and reality itself. A soft wind blew through the chamber, and for a moment Aaron thought he heard a faint voice, gentle, not threatening, whispering, "Well done," he smiled. He had stepped through the passage a curious boy, and now he was its guardian. The worlds were safe and their rhythm was restored. Steam and marble, music and gears, beauty and machine, all were one, balanced and alive. Mira placed her hand on his shoulder again. "Shall we explore the garden one last time?" she asked. Aaron nodded. Together they walked into the glowing garden. The flowers shimmered, the streams rippled with colors, and the silver trees swayed gently. Everything felt alive, calm, and beautiful. For Aaron, the adventure had ended, but the story of the worlds was just beginning. He knew that if the passage called again, he would be ready, and in the city of Vera, where dream met reality, life continued, stronger, brighter, and full of possibilities. The heart of the passage pulsed calmly, waiting for the next dreamer to step forward.